Namaste everyone. I got asked to do a video about job loss. I had a friend that lost their job, and the first advice that I gave was, this isn't associated with your value as a person. And with it going on so much in the country right now, there's so many imperative, important, essential jobs that are done away with or let go. Companies are restructuring. We're in a time of change, and change sometimes can seem chaotic. So I want to talk about today how our job or our ability or our skill set and how that is tied into our idea of self-worth. When I do a reading for someone, what I usually do is I use the deck that I actually created, pretty proud of it. It's the I Am deck, and I'll pull a few cards for that person. And what really started out to be just an I Am affirmation, a positive affirmation deck, really ended up being a kind of oracle. I'm able to get all kinds of information through the different photos that I've chosen for this deck, along with the words and the energy that these bring. So as I talk to you about job loss and self-worth, I've actually laid out 7 cards. So typically what I would do is lay out a card for every letter in a person's name. So I thought, let me do the same thing, and I've done job loss. So I'm going to really read this lesson or session just like I would do a session for a client. And that way you'll get an idea of kind of what I do and how my sessions work as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is the self-worth part. And self-worth is when we decide the value that we have. And that value is not determined by anyone else. It's not determined by your education, by your finances, by your race, by your sex, by your religion. And it's definitely not just determined about what job that you have in the world. Now, there is a certain level of skill set that is important to your self-worth, and that's for you to understand your soul skill. And so we're going to get a little bit deeper into the souls. Going deeper into the idea of the higher self is what in yoga we refer to as Atman. Atman is the eternal self. It's the soul that's always there, no matter what form. There's some essence of you that is transcendent, that will last through this whole life. It's the part of you that was the same from the point that you were a child to the point that you are now. It's the unchanging, undeniable self. The higher self is when you come into a point of, maybe faithful reason, where you realize I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and everything is okay just as it is. When you hear those messages, you can rest assured that those are coming from your higher self. When you know that everything that you really need to survive in this world is what you have within you. One self that most of us are very well acquainted with already is the egoic body. The ego is the one that protects us, it helps keep us safe. It's the thing that gives us the fight or flight. And that ego self has often been vilified, but however, it isn't a villain at all. It's something that is there, just as I said, for protection. Now, it can get out of hand. You might have dealt with a narcissistic personality, but even the narcissist is hiding and sheltering themselves from a wound. It's a wound that they're afraid to look at. Oftentimes, the ego work is associated with shadow work. And that's a whole nother topic for another day. But for right now, we're just understanding that ego sometimes has good advice to give. It can protect you, and then sometimes it can get carried away. So how to know if that ego is really giving you good advice and protection that's in a positive way or a negative way? It's really attached to the way that it considers things. So an ego will say, okay, I've lost the job. Now what am I going to do? I'm broke. How am I going to pay my bills, right? It'll say, oh, well, this person got the job over me, or this person has a job still where I don't have a job. That's not fair. It might be a sense of victim that, this happened to me. It's not fair. How dare them do this to me? Or it might be control, where I need to hurry up and find something new. What am I going to do? It's a panic, so you start to control things. Maybe you control the narrative around the story of how it happened, or you're just on LinkedIn, which is fine to go on LinkedIn and find another job, but it's the energy and the know-it-all behind it, the reason that you're doing it. How does it feel? And really tap in. If there's any association of fear that comes into your heart space where you feel that anxiety or pressure, that's often telling you that it's a misaligned ego idea there. Just like the egoic body has certain ideas or certain feelings that are associated with fear, the higher self is actually going to be the opposite. So this is where we'll see that it's like, okay, I have something to offer. I'm a really good baker. I didn't even know that. I'm a really talented artist. I'm really enjoying photography. Instead of lack, we come into an idea of abundance. We know that we came into this world with nothing and we're going to leave with nothing. What we have doesn't make our value as a person. I'm going to have trust. I know that everything doesn't seem like it's okay right now, but the universe has always had my back. I've made it this far, and so I must be essential if I'm still here. So let's get to our first card. The first card is a little bit of artistic. So what this is showing me is that, through job loss is often a time to find that artist in you again. Did you play an instrument? Did you know how to paint? Did you like to color when you were a child? Whatever it is, decorating your home. There's many ways to express this artistic part of your personality. So use this time to dive into something that's artsy, even if it's browsing through museums and walk through tours right now. The next card is playful. With all the seriousness of job loss, how are you going to be playful? Where does that come in? How do I play when something serious is happening to me? Because no matter what's going on right now in the world or in your life personally, the most important thing is to keep that sense of playfulness, to keep that idea of just go with the flow. Don't take yourself or anything too serious. The next card is influential. This is really tapping into the self-worth. You have to understand that Atman, that higher self, is really abundant and it has a lot of knowledge, and there's something important that you can share with others, whether it's a simple, kind word or a gesture. To really put yourself out there will begin to give you the confidence and to show you how you influence other people. Opposite of that would be if we're negative and someone calls us, no one likes to talk negativity. So we have to be careful not to get into that isolation, but more of that influence so that we're connecting to other people, we're sharing our ideas and our value. And what you'll see right through that exchange is validation. The next card is desired. So what else can you focus on? Connection, again, with other people. How are you desired in the world? Who are you important to? Who can you connect with and be there for, and that can be there for you? This is a very love charged card, but it doesn't have to be a romantic love. It can also be love between family and friends. And to know that you're important and that you are desired in this world. The next card is awakening. Well, we know that this is going on. So many people are going through an awakening. And how would it have been possible if the world was going on just as it was? It wouldn't have been. These changes, though they seem chaotic, are really bringing about a mass awakening. I've seen people talking about what they've been doing positively and how they found that maybe they do want to go ahead and retire early. You know, they don't want to go back and work in a corporate America and be at the office from 9 to 5 with a train ride an hour both ways. What do you really need to be content? And sometimes it takes something like job loss to really shake you and say, you know, these things are temporary. What isn't temporary? What is permanent? Just like the Atman, what is permanent? And maybe it's just the awareness that that exists. You know, it can come in many different ways. The next card is fortunate. What blessings we have. You know, there's so many people going through things that are unimaginable. It's really important to count your blessings every day, to understand and just look outside at the birds, to look at the trees, to see the way that nature has come back around, to see that maybe you do have enough financially or that you have someone that can help you financially. Count your blessings and look at the way. Maybe it's your health. You know, many people are very unhealthy right now. Many people are sick. So you're fortunate if you're well. You're fortunate if you have enough money in the bank, if you have food in your refrigerator, if you have a loved one or a friend that you're able to connect with in person or over video or the phone. So find the ways that you can say, I am fortunate. The last card is one of my favorites. I love dolphins. But other than that, it's adored. You know, and this is going back to you are essential and people love you. People want to talk to you. They want to hear about what's going on in your life. You can share your truth. You can share your story. You know, just don't get caught up in the spiral that, you know, stay in your higher self, stay in your higher knowledge, your wisdom, you know, that authentic part of your being that is not affected by what's going on around you. I wanted to speak for a moment about the astrology that's going on. You know, last year Uranus moved into Taurus, and I wrote a blog about it then, but it's going to last for 7 years. So we're just a little over a year into this transition, and there's been so much change. Uranus is unsettling, it's surprising. That's where, you know, things can happen like losing your job. You never saw it coming and boom, it's there. We never saw that we were going to be in a pandemic or be in this situation and boom, it's there. But the other part is that there is an association with nature getting back into balance, which we're already seeing. There's also a rectifying of corporate America that was going to happen. I felt it was going to happen. And that is happening. You know, but I said before, whatever it seems chaos is change. I've said it in another video as well. If you think about a baby in a womb, you would never recognize that it was ever going to be a child. So understand that this time, even though it seems chaotic, is really meant to happen. And there's going to be something good at the end. Just keep that faith and belief in the goodness of the world. Don't focus so much on the negative. Now, we talked about earlier the higher self and the lower self. The middle self is basically just this body. But this body often wants pleasure. And so we want to make sure that we're not chasing pleasure during this time. Often the job and the time that you spend at work replaces a lot of time in your day. So you don't have time to explore your own pursuits, whatever they would be. So when we're chasing pleasure, the problem with that is that whatever we feel that brings us pleasure, we'll only do it temporarily. And then you'll need to find the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. This is why it's really important to find pleasure in these simple things like we listed in the cards, finding your creative side, focusing on your relationships. Part of the astrological events that are happening is that a lot of planets are going into retrograde right now. And we know what happens when Mercury goes in retrograde. So it's a lot of the similar idea. The past is going to come back. You're going to hear a lot about shadow work. Some of these negative things are going to start to arise, triggers, if you will. So we don't want to be triggered and then move into chasing pleasure, because you're going to chase the wrong things, you know, the wrong kinds of relationships. You know, it might be old addictions that can come back. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. There's still a lot of transits there that are positive, that are saying health is the way to go. Take care of yourself, grow your garden if you have been thinking about doing that. Really focusing onto the positive, not the negative. Really focusing on the positive, not the negative.